Hi everyone, I'm Carmen Aquila, your instructor for enjoyment of music. And I just finished the other day grading the journal assignment on musically aware listening. And I found that I was typing the same comments to like the first two or three students, and it dawned on me that it might be actually quicker and easier if I just made a video to send to everybody, and also it would give me a chance to go into a little more detail. So I'm just going to go down. I got the questions right here, and I'm going to go over the questions and the correct responses, and maybe explain a little bit about why the answers are what they are, and so on. Question one: rhythm and meter. Had you listened to the Bach Minuet and so on, which, by the way, is a little aside here. It's actually not by Bach. It was by a German composer whose name was Petzold, and Bach included it in a notebook that he made for his wife for her birthday. I just wanted to point that out because a lot of times you will see it published, and being written by Bach, and Bach did not write that piece. Okay, so is this in a duple meter, a triple meter, or quadruple? Are you counting to 2, 3, or 4? And if you just keep in mind that generally, and there are exceptions of course, but generally in any kind of meter, it's usually beat 1 that gets the primary thrust. It's like the strongest, most accentuated beat. And so if you say 1 a little louder than you say the other numbers and tap your foot, that'll kind of help you find where the rhythm is lying out. So, for example, we could try 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And you kind of, when you do that, you sort of see that the accent is kind of shifting all over the place. It doesn't really make sense. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So 2 doesn't work. If we try 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That doesn't work either. 3, only thing we're left with. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So 3, or triple, is the only meter that consistently makes sense, that always seems to have the right emphasis in the right spots. Okay, so moving on. So question 2, melody. Does this melody have a narrow range or a wide range? Let me give you a little extra hint here. Whenever anybody asks you, does this clarinet piece have a wide range or a narrow range? Probably has a wide range, because the clarinet has an enormous range. I mean, it can go really high, pretty high, and it can also go very low. So the instrument itself has a wide range, and if you listen to that melody, the Mozart Clarinet Concerto, it opens up, kind of in this range, and it does go a little bit higher, but then at the 3-minute 40-second mark, which I pointed out to you in the question, it's all the way down here. So Mozart is exploring the full breadth of range that instrument has. Therefore, question 2, the answer is it has a wide range. Question 3, harmony. Would you say that the harmony in this piece is mostly consonant or dissonant? So a quick review, like the book explains, when you hear consonant, it generally means sounds that don't have a lot of musical tension. They're sort of at rest. I could just play this chord, and it sounds very stable. It doesn't sound like we need to move away from it, really. I could play other sounds, like, for example, or... Now, when you isolate it like that, it might sound like it's off, or that there's a wrong note in there. That's a dissonant sound. Now, it's not a good or bad thing. Actually, it's all good as long as it's in the right balance. And you need tension, you need instability to make the stability when it returns be more gratifying. So music is made up of a bunch of different, a balance between dissonant and consonant. So for example, by itself is kind of rough, but when I put it in the context of a piece of music, like maybe... then it makes more sense. So the correct answer, by the way, though, is dissonant. There is a lot of both consonance and dissonance there, so it's not only one thing. It can never be only one. But Chopin, in that revolutionary etude there, he's really trying to build a lot of energy and tension. So there is a lot of clash. There's a lot of clash between sounds. I mean, to just play something random, it kind of has that rough around the edges quality to it, which is what he wanted. He wanted to make the listener feel like there's a lot of tension and a lot of stress. And of course, at the end, he resolves all of that tension. Question 4, texture. This is one of the most interesting questions, I think, in this assignment. You had to listen to 2 pieces, a chorale by Bach and an organ fugue by Bach. So the chorale, a few people mentioned that they thought the chorale was monophonic. And the reason for that was because they thought everything blended together so nicely. Now, it is true. It all did blend together very nicely. But when you have to say blend, that's your clue that it can't be monophonic. In order for there to be a blend, it's assumed there's more than one thing, right? We have this, and then they blend together. If you only have one thing, then there's nothing to blend. It's just one thing. Well, monophonic, you only have one thing. What you have is one melody. So it could be... And as long as I don't have any chords with that, or other melodies, or whatever, that was 2 melodies. Before that, I played a melody with chords. That can never be monophonic. Now, it doesn't matter how many people are performing. If you have one person singing Happy Birthday, that's monophonic. If you have 1,000 people singing Happy Birthday, it's monophonic, as long as they're all singing the same notes. Right? If everybody's singing those same notes together, that's still monophonic. You could have a big chorus and a big orchestra all playing and singing one melody. That's monophonic. So think when we sing Happy Birthday, or think when we sing the national anthem. Think of Gregorian chant, the chant that we listened to in the last week, was it? When there's just one Hallelujah. Whether it's me or 500 monks, that's only one melody, so it's monophonic. Now, the Bach chorale, we had orchestra and we had chorus. That doesn't mean it's not monophonic, but what means it's not monophonic is they were all playing different things. We didn't just have everybody singing, and that's the melody, okay? But there were full chords. So once you got those chords there, monophonic is off the table. So that is homophonic, the correct answer for the chorale, because there is one melody, and then underneath we have chords in the chorus and in the orchestra sort of supporting that melody. Now the organ fugue, anytime you hear a fugue, it's polyphonic, because that's what a fugue is by its very nature. You have multiple melodies, so you have... and so on and so forth. And as it goes on further and further and further, the first melody keeps going, but then the second melody adds... Sorry, my computer keeps shutting off on me. And it comes in a different spot. Now, I know that melody is the same melody, essentially, but it's in a different range. And it's playing up here, while the other melody is still, down in another area. So we end up with 2 melodies and then 3 melodies. And if I remember correctly, at the top of it, we end up with 4 melodies going at once. So the chorale is homophonic, the fugue is polyphonic, as fugues are always polyphonic. And question 5, expression. I don't think anybody missed this one. Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, the first movement, very familiar. Everybody in the world knows. Now, again, the answer is kind of given away in the question. Once you hear the name Beethoven, just think enormously expressive. Beethoven didn't do anything. I'm convinced Beethoven didn't tie his shoes without using massive amounts of expression. He was one of the most emotionally evocative and expressive composers we've ever had. Now, it's not expression refers to things like loudness and softness and how you articulate and phrase the music and speeding up and slowing down. Now, the opening is very, very loud, of course, which is really loud with a big orchestra. Now, that's not what makes it expressive. If it stayed loud the whole time, then it's really not very expressive. It's using one expression, and that's it. Being loud doesn't make it expressive. What makes it expressive is the constant shifting back and forth. He gives you and then what does he give you after that? So really soft. So he goes from being really loud to whisper quiet, and then of course it gets louder again. And so that's it. That answers all the questions. I would like to just congratulate you because I realize that many of you are doing that kind of listening for the first time, especially with that kind of music. But I want to point out that you can do this kind of listening. You should do this kind of listening with anything. I listen attentively and I pay attention and try to keep track of every little detail, whether I'm listening to Beethoven or the Foo Fighters. I hope you enjoyed the assignment, and yes, I can almost promise you there'll be a similar assignment coming in the near, not too distant future. So have fun, keep listening, and enjoy the rest of your day.